We're going to bring the realness right now. I love this. So hey guys, so excited to be here. My name is Geeta, and I'm the Retail Innovation Manager at Johnson & Johnson. So quick poll. Who's heard of JLabs? Raise your hand if you heard of JLabs. Okay, actually not as many as I thought there'd be. Okay, spoiler alert. I am not part of JLabs, okay? Totally separate, actually. So JLabs is Johnson & Johnson's life sciences incubator. So think of them like trying to discover the next Tylenol 2.0. I work with the consumer group, and I'm in retail innovation. So I'm trying to figure out how Tylenol 2.0 will be purchased. How will it be bought in the future? Will it be a drone? Will it be online? So just to give you some context, I'm in the retail space, working in the consumer group. So the reason that I'm here today is actually a very sad, tragic fact. Most corporate innovation teams fail. And I'm just going to be truly transparent. They do. You are going to read thought leaders' articles about it. You're going to read tweets about it. Corporate innovation teams can't exist. You can't innovate from the inside out with a large organization. And it's honestly very difficult to do. So I understand why many would probably not be able to do it, because you have your shoulder on the door, as Rangel mentioned, trying, saying, hey, I have a great idea. Hey, we should do this, and no one's listening. But we've successfully had our Retail Innovation Lab for 2.5 years, and we have some stories to share. We've been on a journey, but I'd like to share some tips because I'd like all of us to succeed, because it's very difficult to run an innovation lab successfully within a big organization. So I'm going to share 5 tips in 5 minutes on maybe how your corporate innovation team might succeed another year, stay alive another year, convince your president that you need more funding. So tip number 1, set your objective once, change your model as many times as you need to. So I talk to a lot of corporate innovation teams, and I ask them, what's your objective? And they say things like, I want to have 10 proof of concepts by the end of the year. That is not an objective. That's a metric. That's a KPI. Your objective is, why do you exist? What value are you bringing? What value are you bringing to the organization and to the consumer? So make sure that your objective is set. And I know that sounds so simple, but so many innovation teams don't actually take the time to write it out. Present it to your leadership and make sure they're aligned. And make sure it resonates with your corporate objective statement. Use the same language if you have to. The retail innovation objective statement in J&J is to invest in human-centered design and rapid prototyping to influence and understand the shopping experience of the future. And that's all I say all the time, so that people know what we do. But how we do it has changed probably 5 times in 2.5 years. Our model, who's in the team, how we operate, because you should be agile and figure out, how do you survive in a large organization? So if anyone's familiar with Simon Sinek's Start With Why, your objective as a corporate innovation team is your why, and that should never change. Your how is your model, and that can change. And your what is those 10 proof of concepts by the end of the year. Tip 2, build an ecosystem. And to be honest, I kind of hate the word ecosystem because I think it's overused, but it's true. If your corporate innovation team is going to survive, you are going to need friends in high places. Seriously, you are going to need alignment from your CEO. You are also going to need alignment from your CFO, the person who controls the budget. Arguably even more important. You are going to need regular connects with legal, finance, IT, procurement, facilities. My gosh, the amount of technology that I've asked facilities to plug in for me, or can I use our Wi-Fi, or can I get this set up? And because I've developed relationships, they kind of allow me to do it and bend the rules. Externally, you also need to build an ecosystem. So who else is doing what you're doing, and what can you learn from them? What's fascinating is that when you come from a big organization, the culture is often keep what you know quite close. But in innovation, it's a sharing culture. So call up someone who has the exact same title as you at another company and say, how are you doing it? Is it going okay? What stage are you at? Meet with startups. Our rule is give every startup at least 1 phone call, 1 meeting. You got to get to know them. Get to know thought leaders, get to know academics, get to know people who don't believe in what you believe and stretch your thinking. But it's very, very important that you have people to help you because you cannot do it alone. Tip number 3, don't break the startups. So large organizations have the best intentions, right? They're like, we're gonna work with these startups and we're gonna think of cool ideas and it's gonna be awesome. But if you have things like net 90-day payment terms and you don't pay that startup in 3 months, that startup won't be around in 3 months. You need to adjust your processes. So the first 6 months in my role, all I did was meet with my new friends in legal and IT and procurement and find loopholes and workarounds so that I got net 15-day payment terms. I got vendors set up in 2 weeks versus 3 months. I helped them with service agreements where, legal would God bless legal. They would have 45-page service agreements with all these clauses to protect us and we won't get sued. And I was like, these startups don't have legal counsel. You're gonna make them spend 3 hours of some lawyer who's gonna charge them X amount when we could really boil this down to 2 pages of an LOI and 1 page of an NDA. And that is important because if you don't do that, you will break the startups. And then your corporate innovation team will fail. So do that work and you'll set yourself up for success. Okay, this is arguably the most important. Be loud and proud. It is so easy to get sort of drowned out in a big corporation. You have to be heard and be seen. I go to sales meetings, marketing meetings, legal meetings, finance meetings. I ask to be on their agenda. I ask to attend their meetings because I want to know what the company's up to. And I also want them to know what I'm up to. And maybe something that I'm doing with an interesting startup in supply chain could help us save money. So it's important that you sort of push your way in so that you're not isolated. So many innovation teams sort of enjoy the fact that they're from the outside in and they're doing cool stuff, but be fully integrated. Be there every day. This is an example of, I think, just a loud and proud way to tell people what you're up to. I had a Kanban that I just made with tape and sticky notes, and I put it in the lobby of the building. And I made everyone find out what I was working on. Fun fact, facilities swiftly took it down because that's against policy, but because I have a friend in facilities, he let me keep it up for a little while and is helping me make a digital Kanban. So find creative ways to tell people what you're doing. Don't make it another meeting. Don't make it another email. Find a fun way to tell them what you're up to and be approachable. And then finally, innovation is not tech-centric. It is human-centric. You are going to get people in high places saying, Geeta, we need something with VR, AR. What's Internet of Things? And you have to remind them that your job is to delight a human. Your job is to meet an unmet need. If that technology is not doing that, then don't go there. First, figure out what people need. Half of my job, totally honest, I watch people shop. I know that sounds creepy, but I do because I want to understand how are people actually shopping, and is it a good experience or is it a totally unpleasant experience? And I communicate that back, that no matter what, innovation is about delighting people rather than showing them some flashy technology. So those are my tips. I hope that some of it was helpful, whether you're on the corporate side or the startup side. And if you are embarking on a corporate innovation lab or team, I wish you good luck, and I'm proud of you for being so courageous. Thank you.
So we have time for about 3 questions, and then we'll be taking a short little fun moment to get to know each other. It's going to be real fun.
So what's your approach to building alignment with your CEO, CFO, and the team to really have that relational aspect so they do back you up?
So first, you can't be scared. You can't be intimidated by your president or your CEO. So I approach it with, I kind of sort of exploratory. So I ask them, what do they want to achieve? What are their goals? And you'll often find that people at high positions are less concerned with the day-to-day and more concerned about legacy, like leaving an impact. If you can help them achieve a legacy, do something different, then you can appeal to a goal of theirs, an intrinsic motivation. And so if they're saying something like, we want to reinvent the shopping experience and be the best consumer company in the world, Okay, awesome. I would love to help you get there. So that, I think, is really important. And then regular connects. Don't make it too formal, but at the same time, let them have an opinion. So don't present things as in a pitch. This is great, this is why we need to do this, but say, what are your thoughts? You have global experience, you've been around for a long time, what do you think? And it becomes a lot less about them saying yes or no, and more of them saying, okay, how can we do it?
Any other questions? Come on. The head of innovation here. I know it's a little bit warm. I'm warm. Right, Rob?
Hey, Geeta, really enjoyed the talk. So we've been there for a short time doing the innovation team. What's the one project you've been most successful, or most proud of, I guess? Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think, okay, it'd be, so when we meet with startups, we are often looking for startups that are a little bit more established. Just so that they're prepared to work with us. We know that we can sometimes be difficult to work with. But in the summer of last year, JLabs actually sort of passed along the email of these guys from a startup called TechTO. And they claimed that they had a sickness prediction app. So, you know, we were skeptical, but we had the first conversation. And to be honest, we weren't really convinced. I wasn't really convinced. But I asked them, I said, you know, if you could do a bit of like a trial for a couple months, get me some more data to prove that you actually have an algorithm that is sickness prediction and it's viable. And they went back and for 4 months just tested and got a number of samples, came back in the fall and they're like, hey, listen, J&J, we did it, 73% accuracy. We can predict when someone's gonna get sick. And at that point I was like, wow, first they're committed, and 2, this is really cool. Since then, we launched a pilot with them called a coupon, and it's super simple, but basically, when someone is going to get sick, we send them a coupon for Tylenol, cold, or Benylin cold. And I was just curious to see if people were actually interested in sort of preventative measures. Click-through rates, 15%. Conversion is 73%. It's one of the most successful coupon campaigns we've ever done. And so that's what I'm proud of, because it's so simple, and it took a little bit of faith. And they got to say that they worked with J&J, we got to say that we worked with this great startup, and now they have a partnership with Fitbit. So because they got to use the J&J name, they're doing really, really well, really cool things, and they're now the new default watch face for any Fitbit, which is huge. Yeah.
Very cool.
So that was great. Coming from the corporate side, I related to everything you talked about, so great insights. For the founders and kind of startups in the room, since you talked to so many of them, what has been kind of the thing that got them through the door to a second phone call for you?
Okay, so I think that, and I totally understand why, I think most startups, when they meet with me, want to talk about their technology, which makes total sense. And so they spend the time, let's say the 20-minute phone call, talking about their technology, talking about their technology, talking about their technology. And then it sort of, the conversation ends, and they haven't really gotten to know what we might be interested in, or what we want to solve for, or what humans we've discovered are shopping like, or what we want to make the shopping experience improve on. So what I would say is, before you get into your pitch, the startups that really get to the next level are the ones that first ask, so what do you guys want to solve for? What have you guys tried already? You know, do you guys have any shopper groups or verticals that you're interested in? It's just a few probing questions, because then we're able to think of something, and then when they express what their technology does, we link it. And then it becomes quickly, oh, I see how this could be applied. And that is what gets them to the next level, because it's really clearly, okay, here's the next step. When it's just about their technology, sometimes it's difficult to make the connection as to like, okay, now so what? Okay, now how does this relate? and you don't always have time for the second phone call, right?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Round of applause. One thing I'll just build on kind of that closing comment there, which I find quite interesting because I do a fair amount of phone calls into enterprise, is you only have a short few moments to ask a few questions to earn the right to then pitch your product. So be very careful that you don't end up too far down the road of just many, many questions, because then people sit there wondering what you're actually there to talk to them about. So there's a fine balance.